Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and I thought I was going to have a little break this weekend. You know, there's no news coming out and all that. Yet, something's been moving around in the forums and Reddit, something that's been popping up every now and then that we need to talk about. You see, Jason Anthony, a very prolific voice actor, is the person who voiced Teclis in Total Warhammer 2. But he's since updated his website, his IMDb page, and all that he's voicing a character known as Prince Araviel, which is obviously very interesting considering that it's a character which does exist in lore, but is, well, fairly non-existent if we can be very honest. You see, the prince himself exists in lore through just a few mentions where he was tasked on finding the Amulet of Sunfire near the Churning Gulf. This is way back in the lore because he was the son of one of the reigning Phoenix Kings at the time, and that's pretty much it. That's literally it. He goes on a journey, he gets lost, and that's done. So why would someone, especially a prolific voice actor like that, well, why would he be voicing a nobody? Unless we're going to get into another Helm and Gore situation. However, I've got a few theories. Alright, so the first could literally be the whole Helm and Gore situation where they're just going to pick up a character where they've got a bit of free reign to write for and all that, or the character itself could be linked up to Warhammer the Old World, so Games Workshop and CA are kind of teaming up to kind of push it. It's kind of like how Rapun's de Leoness isn't from this timeline, but they brought her in for what I imagine to be Old World cross-promotion. It just makes a lot of sense. We've seen it happen before where they just kind of pick up characters out of nowhere, even characters that make no sense whatsoever, again Ghost, and it's possible. However, what if it's done in a different way? What if the prince is actually just like a voice actor for a quest battle, an advisor? It's not completely out of the question, especially if we get a higher focused DLC, which we're very much expecting. Now, before we move on to the second theory, keep in mind that the first has happened before, where a voice actor has already updated their IMDb profile, and there you go. This was in relation to Deathmaster Snickage, which I believe got updated around 8 months or so prior to even announcement of the DLC, so it's very, very possible. We just don't know anything just yet. Now, while that is very likely, it could also be a red herring, as we are expecting one specific character to make an appearance. This is Sea Lord Aisling, with his faction known as the High Elf Sea Patrol. Mostly because the Sea Patrol is the largest amount of units that are kind of missing from the High Elf roster at the very moment. You know, the Merworm unit, obviously the Lothran Skycutter, and a few other things, a few reskins, kind of like how Eltharion the Grim kind of works with his own unique roster, which, let's be honest, red herrings aren't completely out of the question. It happens a lot with different types of companies, games, movies, even TV castings. It's just never really happened before with Total War, as far as I know. And this is a character that literally we've all been waiting for. I mean, at this point, everyone's been asking for him because they want the Merworm unit, because they want the Lothran Skycutter, and Aisling is kind of cool despite the fact that he has a very little amount of lore. But it also kind of works out quite well considering the fact that the Eastern colonies, as far as we are aware, aren't inhabited by any legendary lords at this very moment. We've seen the grand majority of stuff coming out, and well, unless one of the 4 Chaos legendary lords are there, it's likely just to be held by High Elves, which, you know, it's originally held by High Elves anyway in lore. So there's a few situations here where either Jason is voicing the long-forgotten prince as either a legendary character or an advisor, maybe even just for a quest, for a cutscene or something, or he's in reality voicing Aisling, because that's the only character that really comes to mind at the moment. Yes, there are a few High Elven characters which would be cool to have anyway, we are waiting for a few others, but this one is the one that strikes at the most. Plus, let's be honest, it would be a very interesting start position for the future, considering that, well, the Eastern colonies are right below Ind and near Koresh, so when those territories eventually open up, you've got a lot of variety of different enemies. Now, some people might be thinking, why are they already working on High Elves when we don't even have Chaos Dwarves out yet? We don't have the current DLC that they're planning out yet either. And, well, that is simple enough to answer. They think ahead, and sometimes they do work on stuff if they have the time. Keep in mind that the team is massive, and, well, it just kind of makes sense to be ahead of schedule, considering that the last 2 years, because of a certain event that kind of stopped the world, DLC slowed down tremendously. So I imagine that they don't want that to happen, especially for Warhammer 3. It was fine for Warhammer 2 because it was nearing the end of the cycle, but they probably want to maximize profits, and they've been preparing this for a while. Plus, they've already got on record to say on a Reddit Ask Me Anything, I believe, that they're already thinking of who is going to be the 100th Legendary Lord, and considering that with the new DLC it will take us to 86 Legendary Lords, this is the one that's coming alongside the Immortal Empire's release, well, they're already quite far ahead, it seems. Who knows how far ahead with certain DLCs they may have, testing phases, or even some of them might just be, well, done. The perfect example of this would be that of update 2.2 or 3.0. This is in the roadmap, where we're either getting a really big DLC. If we end up getting 3.0, this would be in Q4 of this year, or if they don't have time or they need to fix some other stuff, they'll focus on update 2.2, which would be a smaller DLC. This is something that is being on record that they did when they announced the roadmap. So they've definitely already got something else ready. It's the Chaos Dwarfs for 3.0 as far as I'm aware, because the big patches tend to be the 0.0s, and then the smaller DLCs are the points numbers, you know? So, yeah, this is a big thing. This is a very big thing. They're definitely ahead of schedule. Anyways, back to the High Elves. I don't think the actor has any reason to lie, and it would be good to get another High Elf DLC. I know that they've gotten a lot of attention over the years, but a nice minor rework to the faction would be good. You know, kind of updating the influence mechanic a little bit would be really helpful, and maybe some minor reworks for characters which don't have their own unique stuff. You know, Tyrion, Teclis, well, I think that's pretty much it. And it would be really, really cool if eventually we got all the races and factions to have some unique mechanics for each of the individual factions. We're getting a few for Immortal Empires, and we don't know exactly who's getting what. We already know some, but we can't expect everything. So maybe they're updating Teclis, say, for example, here, but maybe not Tyrion. So a DLC could then go back, and they've already said this, they'd like to go back and just update some of the factions if they can, and give them a bit of fresh air. Not everything's going to get updated for Immortal Empires, they've already stated that. And you know that's fair because we've seen the map, it's huge, and yeah, they can't really do everything. They're not a massive team, this is the DLC team. Plus, we do have to be very prepared for a lot of reworks and updates for Game 1 and Game 2 races, now that we've seen, well, you know, the Warhammer 3 races are so well done, they've got loads of different mechanics, they've got loads of different things here and there, so it just kind of... they need a bit of an update just to keep them in line, and it would be a good thing if we got that. We're expecting a lot of DLC for Warhammer 3. We're expecting a massive amount of changes and like just different content being added in. So some older stuff being updated to be brought more into standard would be fantastic. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see, but I'm feeling very hopeful for a High Elf DLC, and I'm really hoping that it is Aisling and the Sea Patrol, mostly because I really want a Skycutter. They were such a pain to paint back in the day on the tabletop. Like, I only painted one. I've got another one, but I really don't want to. So I can just kind of justify not painting it if it gets released in Warhammer 3. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion.